It was a quiet morning in Leeds. The sky a pale grey, with soft clouds drifting lazily across the skyline. Fawziyah woke up in her small flat, nested in the heart of the city. The air was crisp as atoms settled into the city, and the smell of fresh coffee lingered in the kitchen. Fawziyah, a woman of striking beauty and quiet determination, she had a routine that gave her comfort. She would rise early, breeze her coffee and read through the local papers before heading out to the yoga studio where she taught. But something felt off that morning. Her phone lay on the kitchen counter, a missed call from her mother in Pakistan and a voicemail that she hadn't yet listened to. She felt a pang of unease as she poured herself a cup of coffee, the steam rising in slow spirals. She was used to her mother calling, checking in from halfway across the world. But the tone of the voicemail seemed different, urgently and worried. Before she could hit the play button, there was a knock on the door. A quick glance through the peephole revealed that no one was actually standing at the door. "Oh!" Fawziyah opened the door. Fawziyah opened the door to find a letter stuck under the mat. Its edge cringed. She bent down, inspecting it for any details. The envelope was unmarked, only bearing her name in a bold, almost angry scrawl. A chill ran through her as she opened it. Inside was a single cryptic message: "Don't trust anyone." Her heart skipped a beat. Who could have sent this? Why now? As she uttered to herself, a sense of unease washed over her, but she dismissed it as overactive imagination. After all, it wasn't as though she had enemies. Her life in Leeds was relatively calm, filled with students at the yoga studio, the occasional coffee with friends, and her long-distance conversation with her family. But there was something about this morning, something about the letter that unsettled her. Fawziyah couldn't shake the feelings as she went about her day. Her thoughts kept drifting back to the voicemail. She finally played it, hearing her mother's voice trembled with fear. "Fawziyah, my dear daughter, please listen to me. There are people you need to be wary of. I can't say much over the phone, but you need to be careful. Trust no one," says her mother. Her mother's words echoed in her mind, and she couldn't help but wonder what danger she had been warned about. What could possibly be happening in her life that had caused such concern from people that she really knows, and could even get to the point of anonymous message warning her about being careful? She marveled in deep thoughts. The rest of the day passed in a haze. Fawziyah's unease lingered, gnawing at her, but she convinced herself it was nothing. She went to bed that night, her mind spinning, but exhaustion finally claimed her, and she fell into an uneasy sleep. Hours later, Fawziyah was gone. Her phone, her keys, her wallet were left behind in her apartment. There were no signs of a struggle, no forced entry into her apartment, just a vanished woman. Her family, friends, and neighbors were in shock. She had never shown any sign of distress or danger. Fawziyah was always a calm, serene presence in their lives. What could have possibly happened? Was she taken against her will? Or had she left of her own accord? The neighbors, the family, the friends, her students, passers-by kept wondering and asking the same questions, with no one responding to their questions. The police launched a full-scale investigation. Detectives combed through her apartment searching for clues. They discovered that the voicemail from her mother had been left just minutes before Fawziyah's disappearance. In it, her mother's voice trembled with fear. "Fawziyah, my dear, listen to me. There are people you need to be wary of. I can't say much over the phone, but you need to be careful. Trust no one." The police looked into her phone records, speaking with her closest friends and family. No one seemed to know anything unusual. Her relationship with her boyfriend, a man named Khalid, seemed normal on the surface, but the deeper the dug, the more questions arose. The boyfriend was nowhere to be found, having mysteriously left the country only days after Fawziyah's disappearance. There were widespread that Khalid had been involved in a shady business venture, but nothing concrete. His sudden disappearance only added to the mystery. Was he involved in Fawziyah's disappearance, or was he just as much a victim in this bizarre situation as she was? Now, Detective Sarah Jenny took the lead on the case. She spent countless hours reviewing surveillance footages, analyzing Fawziyah's personal life, and speaking with anyone who might have had insight into Fawziyah's life. But every lead seemed to dead end until one evening when Sarah noticed something strange. A single security camera in the alleyway behind Fawziyah's apartment building had captured footage of her leaving the building early that morning, but the camera had failed to capture what happened next. It was as if she had simply vanished. The police widened their search, hoping for any clue that might lead them to Fawziyah. Friends and family posted missing person flyers. The media picked up the story and the pressure mounted. With each passing day, the hope of finding her alive grew slimmer. But no one gave up. The search continued, though the trial was cold. Then, Detective Sarah Jenny stumbled across an old overlooked pieces of evidence in Fawziyah's social media history. Messages exchanged with an old friend named Amina. This message stood out, and Sarah piqued interest in it. The messages had been cryptic, laden with subtle threats and valid warnings. Amina had repeatedly told Fawziyah to be careful, and that there were people out there who wanted her silence. Sarah's heart sank as she pieced together a chilling realization. Amina had been in contact with Khalid just few days before Fawziyah's disappearance. In fact, Amina had been the one who introduced Fawziyah to Khalid in the first place. They had become close friends, though Fawziyah had recently distanced herself from Amina due to growing unease. Now it seemed that Amina might have known far more than she was letting on, because her moves were suspicious and her statements. The police were able to track down Amina and bring her in for questioning. Under pressure, Amina's story began to unravel. She confessed that Fawziyah had unknowingly stumbled upon something dangerous, a secret operation involving money laundering, the criminal syndicates. Khalid, the man she had fallen in love with, was deeply involved in this world. And Fawziyah had come too close to the truth. Fawziyah had been an innocent standby, but that had made her dangerous. She had to be silenced now because she could reveal the organization's secret. Amina and Khalid had orchestrated her disappearance, hoping that the fear of the unknown would keep her from exposing them. As the investigation deepened, Sarah uncovered more disturbing details. Fawziyah had been trapped in a world of deception, manipulated by the people she trusted most, which were Khalid and Amina. Khalid had led a doubled life, presenting himself as the perfect partner while hiding dark connection, and Amina, despite being a close friend, had played a role in sealing Fawziyah's fate. Now, the authorities were left with one chilling question: had Fawziyah been taken willingly, or had she been forced to flee for her life? All they knew for certain was that the woman who had once seemed so untouchable, so serene, was now the key of uncovering a world of crime, betrayal, and lies. And as the investigation continued, the shocking truth began to emerge. The deeper Detective Sarah Jenny's dug, the more she realized that Fawziyah's life had been a tangled web of deceit. The things she had never known about the people closest to her were enough to make her question everything. She had unwittingly been at the center of a criminal empire that would stop at nothing to keep its secrets buried. Just when things seemed hopeless, a breakthrough came. A woman named Layla, who had once known Khalid and Amina, came forward with a tip. Layla claimed to have seen Fawziyah in a remote cabin, deep in the woods, looking distressed and frightened. The woman had witnessed a confrontation between Fawziyah and Khalid, but by the time she had tried to approach, the two had disappeared into the night. Layla's tip gave the authorities new hope, but it also raised new questions. How did Layla know about this cabin? Why had she waited so long to come forward? And why had she been so vague in her description of the confrontation? Are you also having so much thought at this point of this documentary? Leave your questions, your thoughts, your suggestions in the comments below. It didn't take long for the investigators to connect the dots. Layla, as it turned out, was an undercover agent working for the same criminal syndicate Khalid, who was involved with her. Her mission had been to keep Fawziyah quiet, to ensure that she didn't blow the lead of the organization, but things had gone wrong. The agent had underestimated Fawziyah's will to survive and fight back. Fawziyah, it seemed, was not as helpless as they thought. She had fought back, and in doing so had managed to escape her captors. She had left a trail behind her, a trail that would eventually lead the police to her. If you are not yet subscribed at this point, hit on the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell so you'll be among the first to get notified whenever we upload a true crime documentary. And don't forget to share this video and leave your thoughts in the comment section.